Ian, this is a topic that has come up that I'm surprised it took this long, but we've actually spoken about kind of a need for this. And this does fulfill a need that I would say a Retro Engine Sigma does not, or a Dreamcast does not, or a freaking Atari box does not. So this is called the Seedi. S-E-E-D-I. I actually like the name.
Yeah.
And this is a CD-based retro gaming system.
So it's interesting. It appears to be CD only. There's no inputs for cartridges on the actual unit. It has built-in ability to run CD console games for the original PlayStation, the TurboGrafx CD, the Neo Geo CD, and the Sega CD. It's pretty interesting. The lack of Saturn is obvious.
Because it's based on emulation and not the,
Right.
Saturn emulation still in the weeds.
Lack of Dreamcast emulation is surprising to me. But it is open source. So basically, you'd be putting the CDs in, and it would be running them off emulators, just like you used to be able to do on your PC with whatever the one really good PC PSX emulator was. And I'm not thinking Bleem, I'm thinking the other one.
Okay.
But anyways, so that's cool. It also has emulators on there that will be able to play ROMs. There is also an attachment in the works called the Retro Adapter, but it's only...
It's Genesis and I think Super Nintendo?
No, it's just Genesis, and then Game Boy via a separate adapter, but it has support natively for Game Boy ROMs. So that's kind of odd. So I'm not sure. I don't see the value in that yet. It also looks like it has the ability to play a lot of 90s PC games.
Yeah, it just has DOSBox built in.
Yeah, DOSBox looks like it might also have Scum engine in there.
Yeah, I think it has all that in there. Because, that's fine. That you can download those yourself. It's 1080p, HDMI out, and Wi-Fi. So why is that important? Because right now, we're getting to the point where people want to play these older systems on modern TVs, and that's why you have all these new emulators, all these systems running emulators like Retron 5, and now you have ones coming out every year. There's the new Super Nintendo one that's coming out. That's 3 different manufacturers that are putting it out, like the new Retro Duo ones that are HDMI. It's happening more and more. But what's being left in the dust are disc-based systems.
Yes.
There has been something like this before, that I know of at least, that's coming out. So I'm interested in this because you can use the real media. You don't need to download ROMs like the picture has the guy using his PlayStation disc. I have a ton of CD games from DOS. Throw them in there, and hopefully without that much tinkering, you can play them. This is also DVD, which means that when you get down to it, say an awesome PS2 emulator comes down the line in a few years.
Yep.
I'm not sure what that scene's like, but maybe you'll be able to add it to this, and you'll be able to play that as well. Maybe when the Dreamcast one gets added, all of a sudden you have an HDMI Dreamcast system there, right. And it's perfectly legal, as long as depends on if you have the BIOS or not.
Well, that's the one key.
Is
going to be the key there.
If you can get around that, you got to download the BIOS for some emulators, and owning the BIOS, depending upon when the patent runs out, may or may not be legal, depending upon what system you're talking about. That's the key there. But if you look around that, you're at least using the real games. And that's what I like about it too. So if this becomes sort of the going forward, the trend where you have disc-based games being saved and they're more easily played in the future, because let's be honest, no one's going to want to break out the original PlayStation system 20 years from now and try to see if that still works. What if they don't work by then? What if it's hard to find one that works, even if they're still cheap? The same with the Saturn. Saturns start to break down. And
right.
If you have a quality Saturn emulator, great. Now you just get something like this, you throw it on there, and you're good to go. Again, this solves a problem that those other emulation boxes do not touch,
right.
At least at this point.
Yeah. So, I have some interest in this.
It's about $100 if you don't want the controller. Let's see. The early bird was $100. They still have a $110 one that's available. So it's like $110 if you don't want their controller. It has, what does it have? It has USB Comes with a power adapter. There's a stand. You can put it vertically. Yeah.
It's not packed in with any games. I'm guessing, yeah, it looks like it's coming legal, with legal. You'll notice that there's no Super Nintendo ROM support mentioned. I'm guessing that's probably because they couldn't find one that they could put on there legally or something.
Maybe it wasn't properly open source to include it on something like this.
Yeah, so just
I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can edit yourself if you want
right,
to.
But looking at things like this, it looks like they kind of. It's nice to say, maybe for once, hopefully have their ducks in a row.
It's an open system.
Yeah,
like I said, this could be great for streaming and capturing disc-based systems in HDMI more easily, because you don't see, how many people on Twitch are playing like PS1 games off of the original disc. This would make that a lot easier to do something like that, for example.
That would be
or Neo
good
Geo
for
CD.
Streaming too.
Or exactly, or Turbo CD.
I do think it's funny though that how far nostalgia's advanced here when you read like the first two sentences of background. CD breathes new life into the video games that came out in the 90s on CD. There is something magical about holding that jewel case in your hands, paging through the manual,
right.
taking the disc out and putting it in. I mean, this is...
Let's pump the brakes a bit here.
But that is absolutely the type of fucking language that would have been used, to pitch the very first clone NES and Super Nintendo consoles.
So here you go. So it looks like PlayStation, the BIOS file is not required but recommended. Same for Turbo CD. BIOS file required. You need it for the Sega CD and Neo Geo CD. The other systems, it says, are ready to go. So
okay.
Go to the dark web and find those BIOS files. They're out there. They're easy to get. Legality, I don't know. You know what? I'll forgive them for their limited edition version of their green.
I forgive them because it's one color.
It's one.
It's $25 extra if you really want it, which is not exorbitant. And
it's a different shape.
It's no.
Yeah, looks like it's a different shape. No.
It's just not standing vertically.
Oh, okay.
It's not a different shape, but what I do find great about it is that fucking green color is spot on 1997-98.
Oh, that's the Jungle N64 color?
I feel like that green color is just... for whatever reason, that really nails home the time period for me. But anyways, it's one. It's fucking... It's
so
one.
It's a fixed goal, which means they're gonna have to release this no matter what. Out of a $50,000 overall goal, so it's there's 100 plus backers. There's still a month left, so check it out. See if it's for you. This is a sort of thing where I'd like to see it be released before I jump in, because while these guys seem to have a pedigree, if this is their first big project, you want to be sure. But there is prototype, it looks like, so there you go. So that's positive.